Was episode 7 proof that this show doesn't really care about small folk at all unless they serve the powerful?
Did Lord Oscar Tully suddenly become the best character on the show?
And Vermithor, a good birthday candle lighter or the best birthday candle lighter?
All those questions and more we're going to answer on this week's episode of the Joffrey Podcast.
I seem very busy. Many important matters require a king's attention. I'm king now. King now. I am king. I am king. I am kiss it. I am kiss it again when I return. Your fingers or your king doesn't fingers discuss your battle plan. He's one, but your fingers or your tongue. I am the king. I'm telling mother. Oh.
Welcome to the Joffrey Podcast. My name's Bubba, and with me, as always, is the misbegotten offspring of your house. It's Catfish.
Yeah. Bubba.
Yeah.
The small folk, they're coming alive. Those who are not burnt to a crisp. And so am I, Bubba. I'm so excited. We are going to be breaking down House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 7. That, as we all know, is the penultimate episode. And for those of us who don't know what penultimate episode it means.
Yeah, what's that mean?
This is next week's the last episode.
Oh, wow. Already.
Of the season, yes.
Already. Well, Catfish, this episode, we've kind of been, what's the correct word? Tricky about our ratings these last couple of weeks. How do you feel? Give us your rating out of 10 for episode 7 of season 2.
Bubba, I am going to give this 9 out of 10. That's right. What I like to call double V's.
Wait, double V's?
That's right. That stands for Vermithor Vaporizations. Vermithor was taking care of business. There's going to be a lot more food available in King's Landing. They rounded up all the bastards, brought them over here, and only a couple made it. Bubba, I don't want to ruin some of the stuff I'm going to say later on the episode, but this is exciting. We've been talking about for weeks. Team Black, they need to come back. And all of a sudden now, compared to an episode and 5 minutes ago, they've got 3 more dragons than they had the other day. And so much so that our boy Aegon is like, we're out of here. No, Aemon. Aemon is like, Aegon, flee. I never thought he'd say that word. That is awesome. We got a new nickname for one of our characters. Look, you've been talking about, we see all these characters, but we need to spend more time with them, especially the younger generation.
Yes.
We really got to see some more personalization today of a character that I'm now going to refer to as Jace D. Vance. He really showed his true colors tonight, and they are not good. I just have to
JD
say,
Vance was like, I may be a bastard, but anybody else, and what's the word? He pretty much saw these other people as childless cat ladies, and so he was not. Jace D. Vance was not a fan. Oh my goodness gracious!
Not good, but we had a lot of, finally we've got some stuff going on. Bubba, wow. I know you're always like, we shouldn't talk about this, and then you do. So tonight I didn't want to be left behind by you, so I watched on the next episode. And Bubba, all I have to say is, again, it should not be a part of this episode, but it's part of my rating for this episode because we have gotten a preview of someone who can see the future riding a dragon. And all I got to say is, ruh-roh and bring it.
Oh, Vermithor, you love it. 9 out of 10, Catfish. We are both
very excited.
What about you,
Bubba? Let's hear it.
I'm very excited. I am still only going to give this 8 double S's out of 10.
Boo! Wait, double S's?
Sizzling small folk. Like when you gotta shorten your supply of small folk, you put them on the sizzler. Holy smokes, Catfish! I was breaking a rule. We like to not talk about the episode before we begin recording, but I was like, Rhaenyra was forcing these small folk to be there for Vermithor, and her soldiers were like, no, you don't get to leave. You got to stay here. And then they got roasted. Ooh, hashtag leadership. Not good.
Bubba, they had a chance to get out, but once they stepped out onto the once they committed to the ride, I'm sorry, you know when you get on one of those rides and they lock you in, that's it. They were locked into the ride.
They were locked and loaded and then dusted, if you know what I mean. This episode, Catfish, the title we just found out is titled The Red Sowing. What do you think about that? The Red Sowing.
Oh, the Red Sowing. Bubba, I'm completely confused as to what that means. Because if anything, it should have been the completely full ashtray.
Well, as we know, sowing, and this is SOWING,
right?
It's to plant seeds by scattering it on the earth and sow a thin layer of seeds on the top. So pretty much she threw all these dragon seeds out there and tried to plant them, and it was a red sowing. Bye so many people.
Again though, Bubba, I still disagree with them. I would not use the word red to describe what happened to them. They did not get poked and their innards came out. They got roasted to a fine crisp.
Well, some of them got poked with the teeth as they were eaten by Vermithor. I mean,
okay, all right.
Holy smokes. But 8 out of 10, so good. So many episodes I've talked about, I'm Team Green because the balance between characters, I find the Team Green characters more interesting to watch. This is a TV show I'm watching for entertainment. I want to be entertained. But now Team Black has so many dragons, so many characters. Like, welcome to the team, Adam. Welcome to the team, Ulf. Welcome to the team, Hugh. Welcome to the team. Well, welcome and goodbye from the team, everybody else who got roasted. A good one. But wow. 8 out of 10. Still not my favorite of these seasons.
I'm gonna ask you. I've got to ask you, and I don't usually do this.
Let's hear it.
I'm gonna ask you right now for our listeners who are disappointed with your ranking. What was it that brought it down to 8 for you?
We talked last week in our tough ratings about repetitive scenes. I thought Alicent's, journey out into the Kingswood, it's very true. It was beautifully shot. These are beautiful compositions we're seeing. But to me, I'm not sure Alicent came to a new awareness. Like, what do you think that journey was about other than just reinforcing stuff we already knew?
Listen,
I liked it, but
I'm going to put it out there right now.
Yeah.
And I know this may be wrong, but I have been led to believe by these shows that we're going to get a little adult entertainment. And adult entertainment is not just people being roasted, but adult entertainment means when someone goes and soaks in water and they're wearing a white shift, you're going to be able to see something, Bubba. It's not like they're wearing a 3-inch burlap sack.
They were wearing so many layers. Beautiful, beautiful Alicent. And so I liked it, but in other words, it wasn't a 10 out of 10 scene for me. Like, I did like those Alicent scenes, but they were about 8 out of 10. I think there is wonderful drama, and we'll get to it in a bit, but there's also still, like, Rhaena. Now, her scene is very short, but didn't Rhaena's scene kind of just repeat what we saw last week of her in the veil and like, oh, here's another scorch mark that some dragon must have left? So in other words, the highs are the highs. The highs are great. The highs of the episode are 10.
Okay,
I'd say overall, I'm only 8, but I'm still.
And I will agree with you also. Daemon seems to be sort of in the same place. And the only reason why that doesn't bother me so much is what I'm sure we're going to talk about later, and is magnificent. I'm telling you, Bubba, I'm just going to say it right now.
Say it. You
thought those Smallfolk got roasted? That's nothing compared to what happened to Daemon tonight.
Well, hey, let's have a small council debate right now. No. We got to save it. Because Lord Oscar Tully, he grew up real quick. He was maybe already grown up, but man.
Holy cow.
Oh, my God.
All right, Bubba. Well, let's do our other stuff. First, we have to do other stuff. People are like, listen, we can't listen to this podcast any further unless you give us like a good solid 3 minutes of begging us for likes and subscriptions. So let's do that. Please subscribe on iTunes, leave reviews, subscribe on YouTube. Apparently, someone based on the YouTube podcast last week, I scared them away. They unsubscribed. So you know what? We can have some more subscribers back. We love you all. Please
We
comment.
do.
Just remember, we have a bevy of prize for some lucky listener that we'll be giving away next week.
Next week. So yeah.
And Bubba,
yeah.
we only have one more episode of this. So that means we get to rest for a while, right? On our laurels?
No. We've got to make up for that one subscriber who unsubscribed. And so we're going to beg people who aren't subscribed now, you got to subscribe for us. It's free for you on audio podcast, on Spotify, on YouTube. We want to hear you. But we have got so many other podcasts coming for you. Right now, this week, we're also going to continue our podcast coverage of the great German language television show Babylon Berlin. We're covering season 4 of it. Next month, pretty much a month from now, we're going to have 2 new podcasts out. It's our Let's Solve Only Murders in the Building. Season 4 coverage is going to be beginning the same week that our good friends Matt and Priscilla begin their coverage of Rings of Power Season 2. In September, Detective Catfish is going to do the opposite of get on the case for Moonflower Murders.
What I love about the Moonflower Murders when I saw the case is you get to come. There's 2 things that are great for our listeners. They get to come on a journey with me that is going to be bewildering. And number 2, no matter who you are, no matter how old you are, no matter what your education level, you will be able to feel superior to me, to my guesses about who did it for Moonflower Murders. So come for Bubba's smart talk about the show and stay for feeling superior to me.
Yes, that's coming up in September. In November, Silo Season 2 is coming back, Catfish, November 15th.
I'm so excited.
Crazy.
This is so good. And
then in December, we're going to continue our Star Wars coverage with the younger aiming live action TV show Skeleton Crew. So we old Star Wars fans are going to see if this one aimed at the tweens is any good. So follow along with Double P on social media at Double PHQ. That's the word double single letter P for Podcast HQ for headquarters at Double PHQ on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, on YouTube. We are there. Yep. Last week, Adam rode a dragon, and you said something. You compared him to Milli Vanilli. And do you see what listener Matt H. wrote to us?
Matt H. said, "Girl, you know it's true. Ooh, ooh, ooh. See, Smoke wants you." Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Now, last week, we were also so tough on these ratings, and we know that listeners, hey, you're not listening to an hour-long podcast about people dissing on a show you love. So, but we were just trying to be honest about the way the show fought us. And we did have this feedback from Evers02, who said, this show, House of the Dragon, is already falling apart.
Whoa.
You guys, Bubba and Catfish, are great listening to you guys since the epic The Strayed podcast. That was gold. Oh, my goodness. So, Evers, we hope you've turned around and loved this episode like we did. But anybody who's been listening to us since we covered The Strain, we bow down to your greatness. We bow down to your loyalty.
Love it.
Every week we have our match games. Catfish, are you ready for our match game question number 1?
I am.
Listeners, we put this out after the episode, during the episode on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. We want you to follow along and play with us. So here we go with match game number 1. Rhaenyra said, "Let us raise an army of bastards." Okay. Which is a better campaign slogan than blank. Let us raise an army of bastards, which is better a campaign slogan than
95% of you will die a horrible death.
You mean don't tell them the truth in the campaign slogan. Just kind of slide it out there and let it be, let it be good. Oh, my goodness gracious. Well, that is certainly a better campaign slogan, Catfish. Let's see if you got any matches. Oh, but let's see if I match. Let's hear it.
First of all, let's see. Rhaenyra said, "Let us raise an army of bastards," which is a better campaign slogan than
I nominate JD Vance to be my vice president. Oh, I dug into the couch for that one, so apologies.
She's nominated Jace D. Vance to be her heir.
So we're going to talk about him on a future match game, but oh my goodness gracious, yeah. Yeah, when you're attacking the small folk and not giving people the respect they deserve, not good. Well, okay. We've had our peace, we've had our fun, our silly wackiness. Let's see what our listeners have given to us for this important, very important question. So, Rhaenyra said, "Let us raise an army of bastards," which is a better campaign slogan than...
Your fingers or your tongue.
Oh, that's from @EndlessMike03. Oh my goodness. Now, anybody
talking about Masseria?
Oh. Now, wait a minute. That it was Joffrey's. That was Joffrey's campaign promise, not a slogan, your fingers or your tongue. So Endless Mike, His Grace King Joffrey, first of his name, first in your hearts. He may not like that, but pretty good is what I say. Pretty good.
All right, Bubba. We've got some that are in a theme. Let's do these two in a row. All right, go ahead and read the question, and I'll read the answer. Two answers in a row.
Rhaenyra said, "Let's raise an army of bastards," which is a better campaign slogan than...
Let's go, Brandon. That's Dooley's left legs. Hamlet is dead response was it was a better campaign slogan than make Westeros great again.
I'm considering that a match. Equal time in the campaign slogan dissing here on the Joffrey podcast. That's all we want. Oh my goodness gracious. So good. Here's a couple more. This, speaking of, this almost matches with Endless Mike's Before the Dragon Pod at Before the Dragon Pod on Twitter. It's a better campaign slogan than I'm telling mother. What?
Oh.
People are dissing His Grace King Joffrey on our show. This is Before the Dragon Pod. How could you?
That is excellent, Bubba. This is just a testament to the earworm that is the intro music that you put together for this show.
I thought you were going to say earworm of King Joffrey's brilliant discussions. Okay, all right, Catfish, a couple more. You ready? Better campaign slogan than... Don't be a meanie, go with the greenies. That is from Nicholas Fortuna. Catfish, am I just crazy? That really kind of sounds a lot like from the producers, Come on, don't be a smarty, come and join the blank party. Remember the producers?
Now, first of all, I do. But first of all, I'm going to say to Nick Fortuna, very clever. Mm-hmm. And I like this slogan. In fact, I like it so much that I disagree. I think "Don't be a meanie, go with the greenies" is a far better campaign slogan than "Let us raise an army of monsters" because it rhymes.
Okay,
and it puts a smile on your face.
It does. All right, how about Jack Klompus?
Meanie and greenie, you can't smile without saying those words. Jack Klompus says it's a better campaign slogan than "It's never too soon to get down with King Jong-un."
These rhyme so good. It's never too soon to get down with Kim Jong.
These are great, but I have to. You know what? I have to stop already. I think BT Mac 11 is blocking me because he knows I'm stalking him because he's my favorite responder.
All right, okay. And listeners, keep giving us these. This last one just came in seconds ago. It's a better campaign slogan than "Everyone calm down. Maybe they come in peace." That's from Pat Spinagle at Patman23. Hell to the yeah. You listeners, once again, we've only got one more episode left, but we're going to have maybe a 9th episode this year as we just hand it off to the listeners. You guys come up with a better podcast than the silliness we do. Oh my goodness. So
that would be great. So we need to wrap things up. All right, Bubba. Before we go on to match game 2, I don't want to ruin it, but this is what we do. We are going to talk about our best or favorite scene of the episode. Bubba, I'm going to start. I already spoiled this. Yeah. Lord Oscar's complete takedown of Daemon.
Yes.
More burns than the Smallfolk suffered. This was like a rap battle between Eminem and Kermit the Frog. I mean,
oh man,
he just had to sit there and take it, and it was just nonstop diss after diss.
Well, Daemon, hold on. Yeah. Daemon tried to at the very beginning.
He did.
He tried to at the very beginning. He was like, Oscar's like, well, you didn't really pay me much attention last time. And he's like, well, you were of no significance to me before. Daemon, that's maybe kind of good, but if this was a rap battle, he would have been booed off the stage for getting ice cold dissed, man.
I demand that Lord Oscar he needs to have a boy with him. What's the guy who goes with the rapper and is just like, he needs his like hype man.
He needs his hype man. He needs Flavor Flav out there. He needs Flavor Flav out there.
Done.
So he begins with a bad campaign slogan of his own. He's like, now in my rule as leader of the Riverlands, I hope to begin well and go on from there. That's like, kind of starting small. But then he's to Daemon's face. He's saying, yeah, listen, we're going to support, my granddad, supported Rhaenyra. We're going to support her no matter how loathsome I find the prince. And Oscar is just dissing Daemon to shut up. Listen,
Flavor Flav.
When Simon Strong is shooting you those side eyes, Daemon, like, oh yeah, he just took you to the woodshed. Oh.
I mean, and then on top of that, Bubba, boom, boom, boom,
yes.
boom, boom. Your mama, your brother, your dead brother who you see is so decrepit. How decrepit is he? He makes him.
Yes.
He makes him kill his boy that he tasked to do horrible, horrible things. Daemon is not just this, but forced into a corner to do this in front of the other people.
So good.
I mean,
well, hold on. Let me read.
I mean, like he basically, Daemon needs to just write out a deed that says Daemon on it and hand it to Lord Oscar because he owns him.
Well, look at Oscar, this little kid is telling you, listen, Daemon must rectify his grievance errors. God. Oh my God. And so I wrote in the show notes as Oscar Tully was just putting him to task. Yeah, you see this guy who was completely loyal to you. He sucks. Kill him. I put in the show notes, Daemon is giving a look like, oh, good grief, I wish I was still having creepy visions. And then he has one.
Well, Bubba, I mean, this was so good that, we've been talking about how everybody is dissing Daemon. And so first when I wrote a note like, oh my God, even this kid's dissing Daemon, but it went far beyond that to full on ownership.
So good. So we're going to have a debate about Oscar in a bit. So I want to stop our discussion here.
All right, let's do it.
Oscar Tully, may you live long and prosper. May your reign, last for a century. This kid, so good.
No, Bubba, there's no doubt. You can't disagree with me, right? This is the best scene of the episode.
No, I liked a certain scene which you have hinted at a whole lot more.
Tell me
why? I keep it for, listeners are sick of me being repetitive about show me these blacks, show me Team Black, show me what their wants, give their characters some thoughts and things. And I'm going there. Jace D. Vance, holy smoke. The lowborn claiming dragons, these people are beat mongrels.
Right. It's funny because I was like, when he said these people, my reaction was, these people? But usually when someone says these people, they don't go on to say the whole thing.
And then he's just totally dissing his mom. Did the Conqueror's dream tell you this craziness? But to me, what put the scene over the top was when Jace, it's all about him just being, his own insecurities. When he's like, did you think I would have dark hair? He learned, we saw him in season 1 realizing, okay, that dude's not my dad. It's this guy, Harwin Strong. And so him saying, did you think I would have dark hair? Emotional, powerful, between two characters. We know their relationship. We know how they should feel. And so when you have this, this butting of heads, and Rhaenyra is trying to appease him. Maybe she's like, listen, I mislike all of this. And then he doesn't back down. He's like, then don't pursue it. I thought this is the type of debate amongst Rhaenyra's team. We see debates amongst the Greens all the time. We have Laris, we have so many characters over there. Aemond, we have still breathing and going through rehab. Aegon, we have Alicent. We're about to have Otto Hightower. We have my boy Kristen Cole. So we have a million debates amongst the Greens, which are so fun to watch. This was not fun to watch because some of the stuff Jace said was terrible, but it was interesting. It was thrilling. It made me sit up and go, oh, snap.
Bubba, it just makes me think, because we had him, he was sort of mild. Then he goes off and he does something which was good, but was still technically treason.
Right.
And now he's really pushing against his own mother. It just goes to show that if you are a blonde leader, you should not pick someone named Jace D. Vance to be your backup.
Well, what if you're not what if you're bottle blonde? No, I'm. So those were our favorite scenes of the episode, guys. Great episode. Neither of us picked the sizzling small folks at the end of the episode, which I know so many listeners are going to love. But, that's why it doesn't have to be, everybody's like, oh, fans are upset because there wasn't dragon battles. These weren't dragon battles. These were ice cold disses, which, we love. And this was the emotional stakes that the show can do so well, which just personally I found, certainly last week's episode, a little lacking. So, hey, those were our favorite scenes. You know what we want you to do. You tell us your favorite scenes of this episode. Go down in the YouTube comments. Say that our scenes weren't the best. Tell us what you thought. Tell us your thoughts. And, of course, give us match game answers. Catfish, speaking of Jace, are you ready for match game number 2?
Angry Jace might have the blood of the dragon, but when complaining about the lowborn dragon seeds, he's acting like he has the blood of the blank. Oh
man.
All right, Bubba, here we go.
Yeah.
Angry Jace might have the blood of the dragon, but when complaining about the lowborn dragon seeds, he's acting like he has the blood of the
bitch. He sounds like a whiny little bitch. Jace, you were terrible. Calling people lowborn, admittedly, that's the world, the imaginary fantasy they're in. But we are watching this with modern eyes. I thought he was a little whiny bitch, and it was terrible, but of course it was good drama. So I'm saying he had the blood of the bitch. That is my answer. Certainly not PC answer, baby. Catfish, you ready? Angry Jace might have the blood of the dragon, but when complaining about the so-called low-born dragon seeds, he's acting like he has the blood of the
Third Reich.
Listen to our Babylon Berlin podcast. Catfish, whoa, that is a wonderful answer. Jace is taking it on the chin. Oh my God.
All right, Bob, I'm going to read the first one.
Oh,
I just
boy.
looked here. I just looked now. Get the bell ready.
Okay, here we go. Let's hear it.
This is from Endless Mike 03. He says, Angry Jace might have the blood of the dragon, but when complaining about the lowborn dragon seeds, he's acting like he has the blood of the Ubermensch.
Oh, Jace. Jace, not good.
He's acting like he has the blood of the mosquito. That's what Hamlet said. Blood of the mosquito.
Mosquitoes are annoying, and he is too. Excellent answer. Hamlet is dead.
Bubba, I think this might be a match for yours. Close enough. He's acting like he has the blood of the brats. That is before the Dragon podcast.
Well, if he meant to write blood of the brats, he might have been trying to match you and Endless Mike. Hey, Nicole. Oh my goodness. Nicole is everybody is taking shots. Jace is taking L's. Turns out he's acting like he has the blood of the weak, and he's supposed to be a strong.
Oh, zing-a-ding.
Ouch.
All right, and our boy Dooley's left leg says he's acting like he has the blood of the monthly royal rag of the queen. Wow.
Adult content, there you wanted it. Our good buddy Nicholas Fortuna says Jace has the blood of the double B's.
Double B's?
Blubbering bastard. Oh, he definitely does. But wonderful. I hope he's still in New Zealand. Great listener at Fists of Bucho on Twitter. He believes Jace has the blood of the septuple peas.
The sextuple peas?
The petulant, prideful, paranoid, pathetic, pouting pessimist. Oh, God, taking the L's.
DC Mac 11 says he's acting like he has the blood of the Jersey Shore. I think that's close to the third.
Yeah, that is too. Let me read that. That's a good point.
I think that's where he's going. And here's get the bell ready to some of our listeners match another listener, because Patman23 Pet Spinoga says he's acting like he has the blood of the strong.
But he is not acting strong. He's really just a petulant. Oh, so good. And of course, the new wonderful loyal listener. Oh, wait a minute. He's taking a shot at my boys. At MFL __ on Twitter says he's acting like he has the blood of the Green cousins.
Oh,
wow. How could you? Catfish, why are people taking shots on my greens? Because they look like they're a deep dune? People love winners. They look at all those dragons. I'm going to the other side.
I mean, it all depends, right?
Seems so tricky. Oh, so tricky. All right. So, hey, let's get into the episode, Catfish. Do you want to spend time and start off talking about the Team Green, or do you want to go to Team Black first? Who do you like?
Team Black is back, so let's do them second. You know, I like to end on the winning team, the team that's doing the best. So let's start with Team Green, who is doing so bad, by the way, Bubba.
Yes.
Let's just say this. You know, rat catching is an important job, but nobody wants it. But nobody especially wants it if you get hung for doing it, which means now that the rats have infested the castle. Now, to be fair, it's still not the total dump like Harrenhal, but things have come down. Alicent has gone so far that the Maester, who, let's be clear about this.
Yeah.
He's a medical dude, right? But I don't think they had any psychology courses, so he didn't think that part of his healing stuff would be playing psychologist to the queen. So he's like, she starts complaining about being cast aside, and he's like, this wound here will be fine, and later.
Gotta go.
Then she decides she's going to leave. She's going to go to the Kingswood, but
she's going glamping. She's going glamping, Catfish.
She's going glamping, but she only wants to have one person with her. Now, I thought if she said she was going to go up by herself, that's fine. She'll go and she will, dress down so she doesn't, people won't know she's Alicent.
Of course.
No, she's only going to bring one person, but that person's going to have his armor on, so she won't, they will know that it's her.
Catfish, about this scene, once again, we've had all these scenes with Daemon, and I know we're talking about the Greens now, but it felt like we had all these weeks with Daemon where he's kind of gone on this vision quest to realize, you know what, I always wanted to be named king, but as Oscar Tully just showed me, ruling stinks. I just cut off the head of a guy who was my buddy, who was totally doing all the things I wanted him to do. And so it feels like maybe that was the point of all these Daemon vision quests. Alicent, what do you think what's the point of all these Alicent scenes? Is she going to be like, okay, I wanted my children to rule. I wanted my children on the Iron Throne, but now, kids, forget this. Let's give up. Where do you think this is leading us with Alicent?
It's hard to tell, right? Because this feels like this might be part of her Aegon connection, right? Mm-hmm. Because the only people who are truly on Aegon's side, as far as we know, are Larys and the Maester. Yeah. And both of them don't seem to be able to agree on the proper course of treatment for him to either let him rest or have him build up his strength while he's 70% dead. So since Aemond has cast Alicent to the side, maybe it's possible that she's like, okay, this is important to me. I need to be part of the center. So she's going to be part of the protect and re-elevate Aegon group. Now, one thing that we haven't seen that was sort of like threatened last week, and that's why I thought you would be excited, because you can't stop wetting your pants over the possible return of Otto Hightower. But
I know,
still,
where is he?
Otto Hightower, highly touted. Where the F is he? You know what, though, Bubba?
Okay,
probably, I want to give you a positive thoughts here. Better to not know what Otto Hightower is doing than have 3 episodes of scenes of him doing the same thing over and over again.
Yes, yes. Catfish, our listeners may not know this, but you are an actor. You've appeared in many, many television shows, many films. If you are a series regular like Reef Efens, who plays Otto Hightower, and they're telling you it's only an 8-episode season for season 2, and at the most you're going to appear in 3 episodes. I mean, he's only appeared in 2 so far. Maybe he shows up next week, but I mean, you're in only 3 of the 8. How do you feel if you're like a series regular? What do you think?
I mean, at that level, I wouldn't kind of really know what kind of deal they do with him as far as how much they pay him. But I would bet you that, considering this, they would have adjusted their schedule to allow for him to do other stuff. In other words, they would say, okay, you're going to be in 3 episodes. We'll schedule around you so that you can pick up other work.
Well, let me say, we assume he's going to be in next week's episode. He might not be, and have only been in 2 episodes of season 2. That'd be crazy, but it's certainly at this point possible. Catfish.
Well, maybe Allison finds Otto at the bottom of the lake she's swimming in, and brings him back as Hand of the King. Now,
Catfish, we're going to briefly say goodbye to some of the King's bros who are being sent to the wall by Aemond. Ouch, but better to get away from the dragons, I suppose, in some sense, maybe. But what did you take of this scene, which I thought was very fascinating, where there's this character, once again, they haven't said his name too much. His nickname is Ironrod. His first name is Sir Jasper. And so he's like, I have this information, but I don't want to be the one to tell the King Course, whatever, Aemond's title. They're like, they all know Aemond is Prince Regent Aemond. Ironrod's like, Larys, you tell him. I don't want to tell him because Aemond can take news poorly. What did you think of that scene between Sir Jasper, a.k.a. Ironrod, and Larys, where Jasper knew the deal? He's like, hey, this dragon sea smoke was seen with a rider. What do you think?
I mean, he knew the deal, but I just want to ask you, I don't think you need to be a master of whispers to know what percentage of the time does someone actually have the deal correct when, was it 4th hand or 5th hand?
Yeah, at least 4th hand, right.
It was at least 4th hand. Yeah, it was like my brothers, sisters, valets, mother's nephew. So it definitely was not reliable. No. I don't know why Larys tells him not to say it, unless, Bubba, consider this.
Okay.
What if Larys has already heard that?
And I like that.
Keeping that from Aemond, and so then he is trying to discourage our boy Sir Ironrod, also my nickname in the bedroom, from sharing that information.
Okay. Very interesting. I just thought it was fascinating. I thought it was, the way I took it was that, no, you tell him. I'm not going to tell him, like never be the bearer of bad news. People always shoot the messenger. That's the way I read the scene. Listeners, what did you think about this hesitancy? What do you think about Aegon? He's up out of bed.
Because he doesn't, hold on, just to put a capper on that. Larys doesn't say, I'm not going to tell him.
Right.
Larys doesn't say, well, you should tell him. Larys says, I don't think you should. He says, you should not tell him. Right. So there's a difference between that, right? I mean, it's not just Larys trying to, not trying to be responsible for a potential false rumor. He's also keeping that information from the
knowledge is power.
I'm just saying that maybe hints towards Larys maybe knows.
Now, speaking of Larys, we see through the later scene, he has put all his chips on Aegon. He's like, Aegon liked me. Aegon is the one who named me to the small council. Aegon, you got to get up and start moving. Now, this is not anywhere near the same, but when I broke my foot, kind of forcing me to walk again. That is something a PT, a physical therapist, would do. The Grand Maester is doing a terrible job. Like there should be other people other than him. But the Grand Maester is even like, Laris, you're the one who told me to do this. And he's listening to Laris, and Laris, is this, you give anybody any encouragement you want. Hey, your progress is impressive, but you must work harder. And I thought, that's impressive? Well, maybe he's out of bed.
Well, and then the Maester says you can't keep pushing him. And Laris says something like, we got no choice.
That's true. Now, to follow Team Green to the end, and really the next time we see him, it's the small council meeting, and it's the smallest small council meeting. It's once again just, I'm pretty sure, Ironrod and Laris and Prince Regent Aemond, and you hear people shouting outside. And I have to be honest, I didn't know what they would be shouting about. He goes to the window, and there is Ulf, crazy, tavern bragger Ulf, riding a dragon through King's Landing. Holy snap. Whoa.
Now, Bubba, I don't know whether you thought this, and I want to know if any of our listeners thought this. I thought to myself, holy cow, is Ulf going to go to Team Green? Are we going to end
That'd be
up
hilarious.
where he's just like, but it seemed like he wasn't threatening. It was just kind of a joyride.
I know. Way to go.
Or was it, Bubba? Was it something that Rhaenyra asked him to do to draw out Aemon?
Oh, that is certainly a possibility, because Aemon did what anybody would do when you've got the big dog Vhagar. He's like, to hell with this. And then you're right, Catfish. As somebody like myself on Team Green, seeing Aemon turn around, oh, man.
Saying the word flee. He tells Vhagar, flee. And then, listen, we might as well mention it here, even though this is Team Black. But standing there, looking at him like, you the one in trouble now.
Yep.
Queen Rhaenyra, she's got her mojo back, Bubba. And by mojo, I mean dragons.
She is not afraid anymore. And why would she be? Give me a break. This is, she's
got the second biggest dragon to Vhagar. Now listen.
And she's got a bunch of others. Like
these people don't know how to ride at all. But again, presumably, if you learn how to ride a dragon, you presumably can steer it. Otherwise, the dragon just comes what's natural to them, which I guess is fighting and breathing fire. So already at zero knowledge, you're still doing better than most.
This now I put in the show notes when I saw Aemon driving there to Dragonstone, I was like, oh hell yes. And then when he turned around, I went, no, but I got to be honest, that's probably the smart move. You don't run head first, even if you have the most impressive dragon. You don't run head first into a battle where you don't know all the odds. So, tip of my cap to Aemon.
He seemed to have seen the more dragons before I did, because he said flee about. Maybe it felt longer than it was, but it felt to me like 20 seconds where I was like, what does he see? Why is he saying flee? And then we see the three dragons waiting. So you know what?
What?
He's got better eyesight than I do. And when I say
he's got only one.
Just one eye.
Eyesight singular, yes. So Team Green this week, Catfish.
He's got 20 vision.
Beat the Team Green. I make you suffer. How dare you? How dare you?
I'm so thrilled with myself. That's only second to my Jace D Vance now. I'm so proud of myself.
Terrible.
All right, Bubba, let's go to Team Black, which had a big comeback. Black is back, baby.
Now, Rhaenyra has somehow gotten Adam and Sea Smoke. They land on this little spit out in the ocean. And she is not happy at all. She's very upset. What are you doing on a Dragon of House Targaryen? And the dragons, the best thing about this scene was they're kind of facing off, even though Adam did kneel very quick. They're facing off, but you could kind of tell the two dragons were like, hey, you don't insult my guy. You don't insult my girl. And I thought that was great.
Bubba, my only question is, I mean, everyone knows, and Rhaenyra has just seen verifiable proof
Yep.
that dragons choose the humans.
Yes.
So there's no way to say like, what do you, what, how did you steal this dragon? There's no stealing a dragon. Like the dragon chooses you. So that I was a little unsure of. But here's the thing that I am confused about, because Adam, he had wanted to be recognized as his brother says later in the episode to Papa. Like he always wanted to be recognized. So this is his chance to be recognized, and he's like, I don't know. That's strange, isn't it? If they weren't on the same side, I mean, his dad is the freaking hand of the queen, right? If he was the hand of the king, if he was associated with Daemon and Aemon and Team Green, I could understand him being cagey about his lineage. But so it's a little weird here, and also either here in a later episode, I think with Alan, it's kind of like a weird thing where it's like they don't think it comes through.
Right. They're like, well, hey, dad. Yeah, he's like, I don't know any, Corlys was like, listen, Alan, I know nothing about your mom's, heritage, if she had some Targaryen in it or something. So it is just magic to them. Nobody, even Rhaenyra, doesn't really understand how this dragon bond works. How about this? We've seen a lot of people try to bond with a dragon and become barbecued. We keep being told Rhaena tried to get a dragon and failed, but Rhaena didn't die. We don't see any burns on Rhaena. So how did Rhaena try to get a dragon and then just kind of, flop and fail and live?
That is a great question. We should ask a book reader that.
Right. Well, I'm pretty sure they don't explain that in Fire and Blood, Rhaena's specific issue. But listeners, what do you think? Why did Rhaena fail to bond with the dragon and yet not theoretically get burned or killed? If it is in Fire and Blood and I don't remember, I apologize, but let us know. Well, let me. I'm just giving
you a hard time because I know the book doesn't really explain things. It just lays them out as if they're bare, boring facts.
Well, how about this, which isn't in the book either, but why does Adam, who has a very poor relationship with his father Corlys sees him, knows he's a dragon rider, and simply goes, "Well done." Like that's not a great relationship with your dad. Now I know your dad couldn't recognize you because you are a bastard, but why exactly is Adam so quick to bend the knee to Rhaenyra? Just because, well, that's what my dad does? Like, what has she done to earn Adam's loyalty so quickly? If I were a bastard and probably treated poorly my whole life like he was by his real father, why would you be so quick to join your father's side?
Well, I mean, he did want to be recognized, so maybe that's why he would join his father's side, because he thought he would be recognized by his dad, right? That finally his dad would say, essentially, exactly what he said. Look, how much more love can a father give a son? Well done. That's the peak right there, Bubba. It doesn't get any better than that.
My son rode a dragon just the other day, but I was out on the ship and that's okay. When I get home, Adam, you and I'll have a time. My boys be and the cat's in the cradle and Vagar's mad. Okay, I'm doing terrible. Okay, so what do you think about, let's briefly talk about Adam has been brought back in the Black Small Council. It's wrong about everything. Catfish, you barely know these characters' names. One of them, I don't know if it was Jace or one of the advisors there, was just pretty much said, we can't have low-born shipwrights stealing dragons.
Again, very confusing because it should be known to everyone, not the small folk. The small folk, dragons are magic to them, but to these people, they know how important dragons are to a kingdom, and they know why they don't have more dragon riders. Why? Because the dragons choose them. So they're just afraid of losing their power to the people. And Bubba, again, I don't know if the guy with the beard has a name or not, but from now on, I'm calling him Senior Sick of This, because he expresses his disgust about every way possible.
Everything.
except for making a raspberry sound. Rhaenyra speaks, and I'm afraid he's gonna start doing that soon. She's gonna be like, "Well, I think he's gonna go." Who cares what you think?
Well,
I mean, dial it back, bro.
Aren't these scenes really kind of saying how it is? Rhaenyra has this small council. She's not going to them. She's going straight to her kissing buddy, Mysaria, and talking with her about this. She didn't talk with Jay. She didn't talk with anybody. Like, they're arguing amongst themselves. She's going to Mysaria saying, what in the world's going on? What's going on? I don't have any, I don't have any records. I don't have 23andMe on who this kid is. So
Mysaria had the 23andMe in her head.
Now, we've already talked about the great scenes at Harrenhal, so let's jump past those. And what do you think Alan would react? Alan keeps saying, "Hey, I'm salt and sea. I'm not fire and blood." But your brother has just jumped up the social cast pretty far, And your dad, who I guess you have a better relationship with than Adam does. Alan's told, "I knew little of your mother's heritage." Is Alan going to be jealous of his brother? Hey, my brother suddenly has a dragon and I'm stuck, 7 weeks in a row building this dang ship.
I don't know, because Alan has seemed from the beginning to want to keep his head down, unless he's lying. And even with the scenes we saw with his brother, where presumably he's telling the truth, he's like, this is just it's not worth it to be recognized.
Right. Exactly.
Essentially, he's saying, let's just go ahead. And hopefully no one hands us a red shirt and for us to go on a mission. We're just going to stay here underneath. Yeah, the Red Sowing. So I don't think that jealousy is his thing. He and his brother seem to have a good relationship. We'll see where that goes. But I am a little confused about Alan. There's more going on here. There's more to come with Alan. I only say that because I hope so. It feels like we can't have Alan just to pay off Adam. We need Alan to pay off.
All right. Well, Catfish, because you haven't read Fire and Blood, did you see when, they're looking for bastards and Ulf is coming up with excuses like, hey, man, I'd love to go, but, I got to wait for the cable guy, so I can't go out. I'm kind of busy, So Ulf is coming up with excuses. Hugh, we find out that Hugh's daughter has died. Once again, his wife's like, hey, let's go live with my family. And he's like, your in-laws, I'd rather be eaten by a dragon. So did you know, because I read the book, I knew both Ulf and Hugh would succeed in this plan. Could you tell, because it's like, well, we've been focused on these small folk. They are going to be dragon riders. What did you think when Ulf and Hugh are there at the moment of truth?
Well, Bubba, just to peek behind the skirts of this podcast.
Sure.
You pretty much do about 95% of the work, and I do about 3% of the work. And then, no, sorry, that's not true. I do 1% of the work, and then the listeners do the other 4%. So I usually, after everything else, I put together the small council questions. So my small council question had to do with the small folk. So I kind of want to discuss that when we get to the small folk.
Okay.
Ulf and Hugh and the small folk.
Well, all right. Well, then let's just get to it. The boatload of bastards goes on a 3-hour cruise from King's Landing to Dragonstone. They're walking up, and we've already talked about it, but when you saw that dragon, you should have run then. Like if you, I know so many people had the white hair. A bunch of the people actually didn't. These are bastards who, I hate to say it like this, like Jace, have the dark hair. Why didn't they run? The dragon keepers themselves, the dragon keepers are like, you saw what you did last week to Stefan Darklin, your knight. The dragon keepers are like, peace out, we're out.
Ooh, holy cow, they go on a work stoppage. I did not even know that could happen. And funnily enough, Bubba, you see these guys, they're a little bit grungy, but Bubba, they are also
unified.
Well, yeah, that's one word for it. Racist, another word. They're unified in their snobbery, I guess, against the small folk, right? That's what they're like. No, we won't work for someone we feel is beneath us.
Well, hold on. Didn't the one guy say, "Hey, this is magic. This is what this is upsetting all their beliefs, right?" Like it's upsetting their beliefs because they believe that these dragons are magic. They've been raised to, okay, let's be the keepers for them, for the Targaryens, the gods who can ride these magical beasts. And then you blew that belief up only to see a guy roast, and one of their own got roasted. Remember, one of their own got roasted last week and died, and now you want to keep doing it on a whim that it might work? Let's be honest, if all those dragon keepers were out there with Vermithor, went to town, they'd all be dead right now. I think they were smart to leave.
Well, Bubba, I guess, but I mean, if your point of view really is like, I mean, what is their point of view, that these people aren't worth it? In which case, let them get roasted, or is there a case that like all these people are going to upset the dragons? Like what? Like, it seems like win-win for the dragon keepers to bring on anybody.
A conscientious objector says, "I don't want to go to war because this war is a stupid plan. It's not the right people to attack." A conscientious objector couldn't say, "You're about to feed me, all my dragon keepers, and a lot of innocent people because you are losing a war." You know,
you know what? I'm sorry. I did not think about it from the point of view of those guys were going to be there next to him. But to be frank, when they were there with Sir Darkly Crispid, they weren't the ones that got burned. But I can see if they're worried that they were going to. Well, okay, that's fine. One, you know what? It decreases everybody's pension. So if they were afraid for themselves, I would prefer to think that they were a chicken rather than snobs.
Okay, well, you didn't answer the question. Did you see Ulf and Hugh getting, or you want to talk about that later?
I want to talk about later.
Your, okay.
Yeah.
And Hugh ran like a chicken. He ran like a dragon. Dragons are like dinosaurs raised from birds.
But before that, I want to look. Rhaenyra gives a pep talk to these guys, right? We got to talk about that because the Dragon Keepers leave. So Rhaenyra's like, left too. Well, I'm gonna give him some instructions. So even though she isn't speaking Valyrian in her pep talk, some of her statements still do require some translation, Bubba. So I've translated a couple of her statements. One of her statements was, "May the gods bless you." And what she meant by that was, "For those about to die, we salute you from up there out of fire range."
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And then later on, right before she leaves, she gives them all the information. She says, "I have nothing more to tell you."
Oh my God.
Also stands for double S.
Double S?
Sayonara, s'mores.
I have nothing more to tell you. Team Black members, come at me. How can you support her after that's the advice she gives? Listen, I don't know what I'm doing. I got nothing more to tell you.
You gave them all
later,
a chance.
Losers. The
fact that at the last minute they didn't have a chance. Okay, that's not cool. But 90%, 92% of the time, they had a decision to make, and that was live in your continual squalor or spin the roulette wheel and hope it comes up 00.
She didn't explain, "Hey, we tried this once before and somebody else roasted." She didn't say that when she spoke to him, right?
Oh, she did. She said, "I have nothing more to tell you. Sayonara, s'mores." And may the gods bless you.
Terrible. Bubba, Team Green would never do that to the small folk.
Quick question here, Bubba. I was writing notes at the time of Hugh.
Okay. Yeah.
Does he stand up for Vermithor because he's standing up for Vermithor, or was he protecting the woman that was with him? And he's like, "I'm going to protect her by just sort of jumping from front of Vermithor myself." Because I think that would make a difference.
He did try to protect her for a while. But the way I read the scene is that, they got separated for a bit. She got roasted. I'm 100% positive. And damn. then he was like, "Enough of this. I'm going to stand tall." And
he's like, "Bring it."
Yeah, right. He was.
Well, this just shows. Yeah. Again, if anyone had any questions about who chooses who and whether they choose you for your personality, we saw Adam choose what he was peeing his pants. Okay.
Right.
Hugh stands up. He gets a dragon, but that's probably not why he gets it, because Ulf does probably 99 out of the 100 things you can do to pee off a dragon. He steps on an egg, and then he's also scared, but he also gets picked. So what's weird is, I guess I had always assumed, and the show sort of doesn't disabuse me of that notion, and maybe it does disabuse you, and I just assume something. It really has nothing to do with your personality or your core being. It doesn't seem like. It's just your blood. It's something in your blood, and it doesn't mean that you're heroic. It doesn't mean that you're virtuous, obviously. It's just, and it doesn't have to do with your personality. It's just something in your blood. Some ineffable, you've got like an odor due to your genes that the dragon like clicks with.
Well, what if it's just like, Ulf, you seem like a party guy who drunks and stumbles around. And that's the way I am as a dragon, too. I just like to, sleep, stumble around.
See, I disagree.
You and me, Ulf.
I think it's got nothing. I think, unlike what I thought previously, that it had something to do with their personality, bravery, something like that, it's really just a smell. It's just a smell. Some people like peanut butter and chocolate together, and some people don't. Some people like Almond Joy.
Yeah.
Because Almond Joy's got nuts. Bounds don't. So sometimes dragon feels like a nut, and sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it wants to eat you, sometimes it doesn't. Hey, listeners, we're getting deep into dragon lore. What do you think? How would you do, listeners, in this hypothetical family reunion of find out if we're really related by stepping out here to these dragons? And that means we're going to get to match game 3, Catfish. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Now, the dragon keepers, they went on strike. Rhaenyra didn't listen to their warning and instead decided to reward the dragon with blank.
Boom.
All right. So the dragon keepers went on strike. Rhaenyra didn't listen to their warning and instead decided to reward the dragon with
Quadruple B.
Quadruple B?
Bewildered but beautifully basted bastards.
I wasn't sure where you were going there, and I thought you might match me, but so good.
Okay, all right, here we go. I'll read it to you. The dragon keepers went on strike. Rhaenyra didn't listen to their warning and instead decided to reward the dragon with
a buffet.
I like it. It.
All right, okay, let's see.
Bubba, let's go to our listeners.
Let's see if our listeners can match. Okay. Rhaenyra instead decided to reward the dragons with, wait a minute, Catfish. Look at what Nicole, who's at Nightwolf Nim, wrote. Bite-sized bastards.
Bubba, even better, I want you to double ring the bell to match you and me somehow. Because Dooley's left leg says she decided to reward the dragon with a buffet of bastards.
That's incredible. Wow. Oh, whoa. Hey. Nick Fortuna at Nicholas Fortuna on Twitter wrote, she gave the dragon a delicacy of double S.
Double S?
Skewered Smallfolk. That almost matches my rating of sizzling Smallfolk. So good.
All right. And we'll read Before the Dragon podcast says, Rhaenyra decided to reward the dragon with a bonus package. True, incredible listener. I bow down to him. Twitter spoiler, at Hamlet is dead. You ready? Mm-hmm. Instead, she rewarded the dragon with a rendition of the song Some Like It Hot. All right, Bubba, and this is my favorite answer for this category.
Okay, let's hear it.
Oh, I don't know this, but I just saw another one. Endless Mike says she decided to reward the dragon with pizza shooters, shrimp poppers, and extreme fajitas. Oh my God. It sounds like the dragons went to a Guy Fieri restaurant.
Well, I was going to say they went to Chili's. Which place?
No, it's definitely a Guy Fieri restaurant. Oh, all right. So coming up super
Here we
close,
go.
if not completely tied, is our boy Patman23 Pat Spinago says Rhaenyra decided to reward the dragon with double B's.
Double B's.
Bottle blondes.
They were real blondes, Batman. Come on. How about at BT Mac 11, Jack Klompus said she rewarded the dragons with double F catfish.
Double F's.
Flea bottom fillets.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't know whether they were fillets. These were kind of stringy. They were more like strip steaks.
And our good listener at Matt's Test Lab 1, aka Link Hogthrob on Twitter, wrote, she rewarded the dragons with triple B.
Triple B?
Blonde bastard bits.
Yeah.
Bastard bites, excuse me. Oh, so good.
Oh, damn. All right, that's good. Either way, bites or bits. All right, Bubba.
Yep.
Here we are. You were begging me to talk about this question, so here we are with a small council debate. Go ahead and read it in your very serious voice.
Put your ball in the dish and let's discuss this small council debate. Was this episode 7, the Red Sowing, proof that this show, House of the Dragon, doesn't really care about small folk at all unless they're serving the powerful? Catfish, what do you think?
All right, Bubba. Well, here where it comes to Hugh and Ulf.
Yeah,
as soon as I saw Hugh and Ulf in that group, I thought, this is it. Both of these guys are going to get a dragon. And it's not that we followed the small folk to see how the war was affecting them. It's because these people are going to become dragon riders. Yep. I mean, even it took kind of the mystery away. Even when Ulf stepped on the dragon egg, I was like, oh no, Ulf is going to ride the other dragon. Yep. He's going to ride the other dragon. So for me, it's like, it was sort of a feint, right? Because we talked about, and again, you know, maybe it was just me that got suckered into it, but I thought, okay, we are going to see the lives of the small folk affected, but really the rest of that was just smoke and mirrors to get these bastards up on the dragons.
No, I think what you're saying is true, Catfish. We've spent so much time with the small folk, and last week we had that almost fake out scene in the tavern where we saw Sylvie, the woman from the brothel. But as you rightly pointed out, what was she doing? She was doing Myseria's work to once again serve Rhaenyra. Mm-hmm. We saw, to be honest, I think, and I hope I have this correct, one of the workers, the serving workers at the tavern, we actually saw in season 1, she was the woman who Alicent gave the moon tea to because crappy Aegon had sexually assaulted her and gotten her pregnant. And I think now she took the moon tea, didn't have the kid. Now she's working in the tavern. And so it's really about, okay, here's this woman who worked with Aegon. The only small folk person that we've really followed who hasn't suddenly become highborn based on their dragon riding is maybe Hugh's wife. You know, like Hugh's wife is still a small folk, and we're seeing her. She had a great line. You know, I don't care about, I don't want to be a lady. I don't want to be a widow. And so we're kind of seeing her. But you are right. All the small folk we followed, maybe you would say Alan and Adam are this way. But again, they are serving the High Lords. So,
They are affected by the war, but they're still in the upper echelon, for sure.
Well, do you think that Game of Thrones, the first show, none of the characters that we really followed were lowborn, were lowborn that weren't suddenly working, like you said, for the leaders. So, as we all know, Sir Davos, Sir Knuckles, as you like to call him, he was lowborn, but he got raised up to hand to the king of Stannis, and then he was like Jon Snow's right-hand man. And so it wasn't like he really had the low man's perspective anymore. So maybe none of these shows do. None of these shows.
Hot pie. There's
hot
always
pie.
Hot
Hell
pie.
yeah. Hell yeah. Listeners, what do you think? Do you think that these shows, just by their nature, can't really focus on the small folk because there's so much twisting and plotting of all the players? And so if you're, quote unquote, playing the Game of Thrones, the small folks' role in the Game of Thrones is naturally a pawn. And so how much time do you spend on a pawn? It's a tough question about the show. I think it's a great question, but you're right. We were following these people not because we were seeing how the ruling class were affecting them, even though we did see that for a bit. We were really following them because they were going to be a big part of this war. And so we're really studying this civil war. We're not really focused on the Smallfolk at all. Okay.
All right,
listeners,
Bubba. Yeah, let's do it.
Listeners, we want to know. Question 2. Did Lord Oscar Tully just become the best character on the show? Catfish, what is your thoughts?
But first, I have to, like you said, what is really delicious about that scene is that Oscar starts off not as a bad or a weak guy, but just more like a kid.
Yeah.
And then even in his sort of gentle, he's not overbearing. He's just laying things out matter-of-factly. Daemon, you are a horrible excuse for a human being. And it was magical. And I have to say, Bubba, the funny thing is when I was watching him, I was like, I don't know. This character is no little Lyanna Mormont. As we all know, Bella Ramsey,
yes,
who is now in The Last of Us, was amazing on Game of Thrones. And I have to say, this kid is the best.
What?
The highest compliment I can give him is shades, just shades.
Oh boy,
Shades,
be careful.
Shades of Joffrey Baratheon.
Whoa. Well, my mind went where you did, Catfish, in that Lady Lyanna, for spoilers for Game of Thrones, we had this young character who was lord of their house, who was like real young, tween young, who would spit fire and tell the adults on the show, this is the truth, this is the deal. And it's been recreated here with Oscar Tully. And all I can say is it works. Keep having the kids spit fire because it was great. I loved it. Now, let me say that is he the best character on the show?
Yes.
This sounds crazy. As great as all his disses were, I almost want to say Simon's side eye. I've already mentioned it, but him shooting that look to Daemon like, dude, you got punked. You've been owned. It was wonderful.
Our boy Simon Strong does more
great.
with a look than most people do with a monologue. He is beautiful. Lord Oscar may not have become the best character on the show, but I tell you, if they give him a chance,
yes,
he could be.
Keep giving him scenes. Heck yeah, I completely agree. All right, question 3. Vermithor, that giant dragon which roasted so many. Vermithor, a good birthday candle lighter or the best birthday candle lighter? Catfish, Vermithor is not as big as the big dog Vhagar, but pretty darn big and pretty darn, you don't wake up Vermithor for the scraps. You don't wake him up for, hey, come out and, put on a show for all our friends who are in town. Vermithor said, hell no. So what do you think about Vermithor lighting everybody up?
I mean, specifically for birthday cake candles, I think maybe too much power. Like you said,
a little, yes.
You only bring them out for the real big shows. But I tell you, like all, we saw who was it that came out for Sir Darkly Crisped?
No, it was the one Adam claimed, right? Isn't that, and I'm going to mess it. Sea smoke, exactly right.
Okay. All I'm going to say is that Vermithor told Sea Smoke, hold my beer. 2? No. My rage is greater than that. And so there is hope that, he's second biggest to Vhagar.
Yep.
It's clear. He's not the kind of person that's like, I'll save my fire for another day. He's like, today is a good day. Every day is a good day to light suckers on fire. So, birthday candle lighter, maybe not. Weapon in the fight.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
boy. Okay, Catfish, real quick. All must choose. All sides must choose. Which team you going this week? Which is your team of the week? Team Black or Team Green?
Team Black added more dragons. And also, like you said, Spitfire Jr., Lord Oscar, It's Team Black all the way for me. Almost, remember when I said Team Black was almost cartoonishly down? Now they have really upset the battle cart as far as the team that I think is powered. But, for me, Bubba, it's all about power. But for you, it's more about personality.
It is.
So,
it is.
Team of the week for you. It doesn't, for you, it doesn't have to be Black because you're more about personality. So who are you going to take this week?
I am going with Alicent. No, I'm kidding. Team Black. Team Black. It was their episode to come up. I bow down. All right, your MVP of the episode, Catfish. You've been singing the Young Lord's praises so much. Anybody else or your MVP of the episode?
Well, here's a caveat, Bubba. I always say the MVP of the week does not need to come from the team of the week.
That's true.
But you're completely right. It is Lord Oscar. All hail, possibly Joffrey.
My MVP of the week, Vermithor. That was, you know what? I've bowed down to Vagar before. Vermithor is the winner. If you're watching this on YouTube, Vermithor has joined the chat. This is hilarious.
Bubba, I cannot blame you for picking Vermithor, although I will disagree who spit more fire.
Oh, okay.
All right, Bubba, let's get into it. Our great double L's.
Double L's?
Yes, loyal listeners, Bubba, I don't know why you don't remember, have given us some feedback, and they've given us some funny feedback, but also some intelligent feedback. Both things that this podcast desperately needs. So, Bubba, do you want to read the first one, or have you assigned it to the Vermithor wielding Catfish?
I have assigned this first one to you, Catfish. Sorry.
Okay, great. This is Wani Hopwood. Says, I want to know what kind of prep Sir Stefan received from the Blacks and the Dragon Keepers. Did he have any context or instruction on how to approach Sea Smoke other than some nudging in the moment? Maybe it wouldn't have mattered since Sea Smoke already had his eye on Alan.
Yep.
There were definitely some check-ins on dangling storyline threads like Rhaena and Jane Eyre, Where in the World is Otto San Diego, and the oft-mentioned Jason Lannister. And some actual forward momentum on others like Larys's missteps and Alicent's unceremonious removal from the council. I cannot believe I used the word missteps for Larys. I better go light some candles in the sept for forgiveness. Wani, love your feedback.
Well, she had a question about how much guidance they gave in prep they gave to Sir Stefan Darkland last week. I'm quite sure in a cutscene, Rhaenyra pretty much said to him, I have nothing more to give you.
Well, no, this is an actual good point, right? I mean, I said, I think I realized tonight it doesn't matter what you do.
No.
It doesn't matter how you approach them. But you would think to keep their jobs, the Dragon Keepers would have some BS advice they'd give people. And if they didn't get accepted, they'd be like, well, not our fault. I mean, we gave the best advice we could. But it would have been nice to see them say something. I mean, we're like, be strong.
Yeah.
Something. Although, again, doesn't matter.
No.
You could be a coward or a hero, and it's just spinning that roulette wheel, baby. All right.
Link Hogthrob, who's at MassTestLab1 on Twitter, wrote, he was tough on last week's episode like we were. He said he gave the episode 6 double S's.
Double S's?
Sloppy seconds, Catfish, as you know. He said the episode was like all the edited parts slapped together to make one extra episode.
Oh.
And he felt it didn't advance the narrative, like a bit like we did, but of course, Wani just gave some feedback talking about how certain parts of the story did get advanced. So, Link, we felt like you did this week. Let us know how you, last week. Let us know how you felt about this week's episode.
All right. And for more people who are like, listen, can you explain how some of this world works to me? Like, just please a little. Franz 4932 makes a great point. Yeah. The thing confusing me this season the most is how the blockade is working. I highly doubt the majority of the food was shipped in from Pentos or anywhere else that would be rational for medieval shipping. So almost all food would be transported via roads. So I don't understand how this has cut the food supply so drastically. Franz, why are you thinking logically and rationally and sanely?
So Juan wrote that as comments on YouTube. We love comments on the YouTube channel. And so I just wrote back to Franz and I was like, well, Franz, the show doesn't explain it at all. Number one, you're right. Why in medieval times would you ship food across the narrow sea? I mean, that really sounds crazy. But perhaps, Juan, the show doesn't say it, but the show did say there was a war in the Reach because House Beesbury was upset that their lord had been killed. And so we know, if you know Game of Thrones, I'm not sure they ever mentioned it on this show, that a lot of the farm food comes from the Reach area of Westeros in the Seven Kingdoms, excuse me. And so perhaps that's why there's no food. Maybe the blockade is not allowing the fishermen to go to where the good fish are. It doesn't make too much sense.
They have no problem with fish. They're just sick of fish. I mean, they mentioned they're like, I don't want the fish anymore. No. Allison gets called the queen of fish before she gets slapped silly with a thrown fish. Yeah. So it's not that. And I agree with Franz. Look, it wouldn't kill somebody to drop in one line of exposition while someone is naked. Let's do it. Bring back exposition. I'm going to strike this show until we bring the sexposition back.
You and the Dragon Keepers are like, we're on strike. We're on strike. Now, we always say we do these match games live during the episode, after the episode, but we love great answers a week later. So here's some match game answers from last week. You ready, Catfish?
Love it.
Aemond has an odd bedside manner with his brother Aegon. Some might call it, and this is from Revere Terry on Twitter, he said some might call it Kevorkian. Oh, God, that's so good. That is so good, Terry. Chef's kiss on that. And Terry gave us another answer. You ready?
Yeah.
Stefan Darkland tried to bond with a dragon, and his attempt was blank. What did Terry say, Catfish?
He said overly baked. And we also got a response from Camille and Harley. Camille, one of our other loyal listeners, he says his attempt to bond with a dragon was overdone. I think that matches with me.
I do too. Oh my goodness. Hey, we know we're going to get more match games off these ridiculous questions we asked this week. Listeners, we've said it too many times for you to not hear us when we say we love your feedback. You guys drive this show at Double PHQ on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Facebook. If you have a match game answer, if you have a thought on this show, let us know. And as you'll see, we read them on the air. For everybody here at Double PHQ Podcast, my name is Bubba. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky at Fit and Trim. That's FITTENTRIM at Fit and Trim on social media.
And I am Catfish. You can hit me up on Instagram and Blue Sky at G to the Man. That is GETOTHEMAN. And we'll join you next week for the ultimate episode of season 2 on
the Joffrey of Podcasts. Who's going to die, Catfish? Who's going to die next?
You know who it's going to be? I tried to sacrifice him 3 episodes ago. It's going to be our boy.
No, I wanted you to just say, well, obviously it'll be more Smallfolk.
There's none left. They've all been elevated.